Hello and welcome back. As always, my name is Lazer and today we are checking out the latest hero for Heroes of the Storm, namely Probius from StarCraft. He's gonna be a specialist, we know abilities, we know talents, we don't know cooldowns or mana cost, and this information may not be final, so please take it with a grain of salt. That being said, let's move on to his basic kit, starting off with his trait, In Pylon. In a pylon that generates a power field that grants vision of the surrounding area. Probius only regenerates mana while inside a power field. Up to 2 pylons can be active at a time. So you're gonna have to pay a lot of attention to this pylon business. I don't know if you played StarCraft, but a lot of his abilities and a lot of his talents actually revolve around pylons. And we also know from this one that he will be using mana. Next we have a special mount ability, Worker Rush. Activate to gain an additional 50% movement speed for 5 seconds. Taking damage, however, ends this effect early. It also has a passive component. Probius moves 10% faster by hovering over the ground. So much like Lunara, he's got a permanent speed increase of 10%. But I think Looney Tunes has 20, I don't remember. Anyway, his Q ability is called Disruption Pulse. Fire a burst of energy forward, dealing damage to all enemies it passes through. Hitting the center of a Warp Rift will cause it to explode, dealing additional damage. Warp Rift being his W ability. Open an unstable warp rift at target location that takes 1.25 seconds to arm, which then slows nearby enemies by 20%, lasting 9 seconds. So you're gonna place this one down, then you're gonna hit it with your Disruption Pulse and boof, it will explode and deal damage to enemies in the nearby area. His E ability is called Photon Cannon, yes, the same Photon Cannon from StarCraft. In Photon Cannon that deals damage per second, lasts 11 seconds, must be placed within Pylon's power field. Deactivates if it doesn't have a Pylon powering it. So exactly the same mechanic from StarCraft, okay? If you don't have Pylons powering your structures, it simply won't work. Photon Cannon is fixed in place, just so you guys know. First heroic ability is called Pylon Overcharge. Increases the size of Pylon power field and allow them to attack enemies within it for 110 damage per second. Lasts 10 seconds and it also has a passive component. Pylons gain permanent shield equal to 50% of their maximum health. So even after the heroic is over, they will still maintain that shield until it gets damaged down. Nice, so normally Pylon wouldn't be able to attack enemies, now it does. I'm curious to see if I actually get targeting options over the Pylons. Can I actually target what I want, or will they just go berserk like Gazlow's turrets? That would be interesting to see. Second heroic ability is called Null Gate. Project a barrier of negative energy in the target direction that lasts for 4 seconds. Enemies who touch the barrier take damage per second and are slowed by 80%, huge slow on this one, for as long as they remain in contact with it. Yes, a very interesting kit, kinda smells a bit like Gazlow, definitely. Let's take a look at a couple of screenshots now before we get into talent, so we get an idea of how everything looks. So what do we got? We got Tychus fighting Probius. Okay, here we go. We got a Pylon powering a Photon Cannon, and with Probius there fighting Vala. Next, this would be the home screen. Okay, we're gonna be getting for the little Probius. Alright, this looks like a detonation to me, what we talked about earlier. Okay, moving on, what do we get? Here we go, we got 3 Pylons, and you already saw that we can only have 2, but there's a talent at 20 which will allow us to have 3. So area denial or area lockdown, apparently this is how you're gonna play Probius, judging by this, again, first impressions, etc. Kinda smells like Gazlow, a little bit too much for my liking, but there you go. Alright, what else we got? I just want to show you these so you get an overall idea of how everything looks. Yes, area denial, again, a Photon Cannon there, with a Pylon powering it behind it, and little Probius fighting Nova. Alright, this will be the Null Gate, stopping the Vikings from getting close to Thrall. Again, it's an 80% slow. It's not a root, but it's damn well close to it. Alright, this will be a Warp-in effect. And the little Pylon. Here's the Null Gate once again, with little Probius there. He's quite big for a probe, don't you believe so? By the way, Probius is the actual probe from the Legacy of the Void trailer. And here are the Pylons attacking Kael'thas. Okay, so using his heroic ability here, and well, that's about it. Now, let's get back to talents. Alright, level 1. Q, Echo Pulse, a talent for a Q ability. Disruption Pulse now returns to Probius 1.25 seconds after reaching its target, dealing 75% damage on the return trip. So unlike Artanis, it deals less damage on the return trip, so it's gonna matter less to try to hit it. Anyway, we're gonna aim our Q ability to detonate our W, I'm guessing. W, Warp Resonance. This one is a quest talent. Hit heroes with Warp Rift Explosion. reward. After hitting 10 heroes with Warp Rift Explosion, increases the explosion damage by 100. It's a 2-stage quest. So the second reward will be after hitting 20 heroes with a Warp Rift Explosion, Warp Rift gains 1 additional charge. So again, this is our W. Place it down, it arms after a little bit of time, and we're gonna try to hit it with our Q ability so it detonates. That detonation, we gotta hit heroes with the detonation. Again, Warp Rift Explosion. 2-tier reward system. First tier is increased damage by 100. Second tier is 1 additional charge for our W ability. Finally, level 1 last option, E, gather materials. Another quest talent. Enemy heroes and minions drop minerals when killed. Collect them to increase the health of photon cannons by 8 up to 560. I'm wondering if this will actually be permanent or not. Reward, after collecting 70 minerals, photon cannons deal 25% more damage, can see over obstacles, my bad, and reveal nearby cloaked units. Awesome that we get this at level 1. I'm curious to see how much time it will take to actually finish, because it says enemy heroes and minions drop minerals, but how many? 1 per each? I'm guessing 1 per each minion, and maybe heroes drop more, something like that. We're gonna have to wait and see. But yeah, this will definitely power up our photon cannons. Moving on to level 4. First option, Photon Barrier. While a photon cannon is alive and powered, Probius gain 30 spell power. Okay, so spell power means spell armor, my bad, means mitigation, damage mitigation from ability damage effects, 30%, which is a big deal. So we're gonna have to have a photon cannon up and also powered, so within a Pylons range. Cool. Next, the talent for our trait, Turbocharged. Worker Rush grants an additional 10% passive movement speed while in a power field, and its cooldown is reduced by 20 seconds. Nice, but the problem with this one is that it's only active in a power field. We're just gonna have to wait and see how big are those actual power field, and how long does it take to warp in a pylon. This is what I'm thinking right now. I mean, is it okay for me to use it in a team fight, or do I have to have everything set up like Gazlowe before it's actually effective? Last talent at level 4 is called Shield Capacitor. Probius gains permanent shield equal to 10% of his maximum health. Shields regenerate quickly as long as he hasn't taken damage recently. What the hell is recently? I don't know, I'm guessing a couple of seconds. Okay, so more damage mitigation, and a bit of utility here at level 4. Next, moving on to level 7, first option is Particle Accelerator, a talent for our Q ability. Disruption Pulse deal 10% more damage for each enemy or Warp Rift hit up to 40%. So we're gonna have to hit 4 for the maximum bonus. Pretty clear cut and to the point. W, Rift Shock, next option. Hitting an enemy hero with Warp Rift Explosion increases Probius' damage against them by 20% for 10 seconds. So it's a form of vulnerable, but only for little Proby. Final option at level 7 is called Tower Defense. When Photon Cannon damages an enemy hero, its cooldown is reduced by 1.25 seconds. So a form of battle momentum, but only strictly for Photon Cannon. Okay, cool. Again, simple talents, clear cut to the point. Damage options, a little bit of damage options here. Definitely like to see that. Moving on to level 13 because we already talked about the heroics. First option is Aggressive Matrix. Pylon's power field grants allied heroes 20% increased attack damage. So for your AA heroes, okay, if they will manage to stay in your pylons, which I'm guessing you're gonna have to do a whole lot of explaining of how that works, they will get 20% increased attack damage. Oh wow, pair him up with a Sergeant Hammer and just tower defense. Oh wow, nice, good job. Yeah, definitely pair him up with a Sergeant Hammer and just tower defense around Sergeant Hammer with Aggressive Matrix, and yeah, this is gonna be good. Power Overflowing, next option at 13. Pylon's power field grants allied heroes 10% increased spell power and 2 mana per second. So we had the option of buffing up our AA heroes, now this is the option of buffing up our ability damage dealers. Final option at level 13 is called Shield Battery. Pylon's power field grants allied heroes 30 shields per second up to 120. So what, in 4 seconds we're gonna get maximum shields. Shields persist for 4 seconds after exiting a pylon power field. Nice one, this is really good. So we got a damage power ups and some damage mitigation. He looks more like a support Medivh style from this point of view. This one is gonna be really good because it allows you to stay out of the power field as well. 4 seconds, alright? So you're not impairing your team from getting the positions they want to be in, alright? This is a very, very good option. Finally, level 16. First option is Quantum, talent for our W ability. Enemies continue to be slowed for 3.5 seconds after their last contact and entanglement with a warp rift. Alright, so increases the duration of the CC, good. Next option, also for our W ability, actually the entire talent tree is dedicated to our W. Enemies are slowed more the closer they are to the center of the warp rift, up to a maximum slow of 60%. I don't know about this one kind of seems a tad underwhelming to me. I mean, sure, the closer they are, I get that, okay, it's a pretty decent size of it considering the screenshot we just saw, but 60% slow at level 16, just kind of underwhelming for this talent tree. Next option, W Repulsor. Enemies hit by Warp Rift explosion are knocked away from the center. So you have the option, do you want to keep them clumped up or do you want to knock them and just break their formation, kind of like that, destroy their positioning. It's gonna depend obviously on team composition, and I'm guessing you're gonna pick up a talent at this level based on team synergy for the most part. Last option is called Interference. Enemy heroes hit by Warp Rift detonations have their spell power reduced by 35% for 3 seconds. Interesting. Interesting that up until this point I don't think I ever saw Blizzard use the term spell power. I think they used ability power if I'm not, it doesn't matter. But anyway, we don't get a lot of reduced damage on target effects in Heroes of the Storm. 35% for 3 seconds is definitely a big deal, but will only apply to spell power. That means spellcasters, which usually hide in the back lines. Can I get to them? That's gonna be the question. Can I actually get my W onto them? And finally, last option, 16 wasn't the last option, obviously, it was 20! Yes, we got some nice options at level 20. First upgrade to our heroic is construct additional pylons. Obviously, they couldn't resist to put this one in. Probius can now have up to 3 active pylons and increases damage of pylon overcharge by 25%. So just like you saw in that screenshot, we're gonna have 3 pylons up now. They're gonna do a whole lot more damage, and I'm guessing we can deny an area really good with the first heroic ability. Second upgrade is called the Gatekeeper, upgrade for Null Gate, lasts indefinitely if either end is within a power field. So as you saw in the screenshot, it's got 2 clear ends to it. Okay, as long as one of them is in a power field, it can remain there indefinitely. I'm guessing it's not gonna drain mana because it doesn't say so. Only 1 null gate may be active at a time, so you can't, oh sorry about that, you can't like box yourself in with like 3-4 null gates, though that would have definitely been interesting. Next option, a talent for our Q ability, is called Shoot 'em Up. Hitting a Warp Rift with Disruption Pulse causes 4 additional pulses that deal 50% damage to be fired from the impact location in different directions. Additional pulses do not benefit from Echo Pulse or Particle Accelerator. That's normal, because if they didn't put that in, we would be able to continue the chain into chain and just keep it going like that. Alright, this will be definitely interesting to see in a team fight. I'm guessing this is the major damage power up, okay, with the pulses, but it's luck based, right? Because you're not controlling in which direction they're going. Just an assumption at this point, obviously. And final option is called Probius Loop. Whenever a rift explosion hits 2 or more enemy heroes, create a new warp rift in the same location. Definitely nice. I like this one. Definitely. You're gonna be able to control positioning really well with this one within a team fight. That's what I'm guessing. Again, it's all assumption at this point. Alright, so first thing I want to say, let me know in the comment section, what do you guys feel? How do you guys feel about Probius? We won't have to wait long to see how he actually plays. Join me March 6th on the PTR in 2 days from now. Okay, I'll see you guys there so we can test a little Probius. From what I can see, he plays a tad like Gaslow, and which is not exactly my cup of tea. What gets me going personally in Heroes of the Storm are 2 things. One is gameplay, which is by far the most important. If a hero has good gameplay, I'm gonna play it no matter what it is, even if it is a shitty little gnome. And second would be personality, the personality behind the character. Unfortunately for me, I don't really like the Gaslow style of play, the area denial style of play, though I think it would be fun to try in team fights, especially at level 20 with this guy. And from what I see, again, he plays a tad like Gaslow on paper, again, and he's basically got no personality. I'm guessing he's gonna just beep. So for me, not very exciting. It's simply not my cup of tea. It's not what gets me going in Heroes of the Storm. But hey, this might be the thing for you. He looks like an excellent hero for turtlers. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, that's gonna do it for now. Thank you guys for watching again. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Join me on the PTR March 6th to test Probius. I'm gonna see you guys there. Like, favorite, share, subscribe, and all that good stuff if you enjoy the content. Alright, that's it. I'm off. Bye-bye, everybody. Bye-bye.